Please and brother 結果一族滅び夢幻のことすあの体勢からの開始侮りがたし鼻から第4形態フリーザより1回変身オン設定見せた変身1回 Yo 最後は太陽そりゃないよ燃え尽きたよ Yo 最後は太陽そりゃないよ燃え尽き太陽フリーザのブラザードカンバトルにクーラーぶちかませ超快感ドラゴンボール Z ドカンバトル全世界同時キャンペーン始まるポタラ使ったら
Hey yo, what's up? You gotta stop and listen. It's time to open your eyes. It's coming to you.
クーラーフリーザのブラザーしたらメタルクーラーフリーザのブラザー吸収復讐メタルクーラー機械になって得たぜ復讐の機械無限に増殖絶望を感じたあのショック打ちたちから捕まえた悟空とベジータ吸われた悟空とベジータ全力出した奴は非道かます瞬間移動奴は非常ボディは頑丈無限に再生絶望の戦場無限に増殖見せろ根性クーラーフリーザのブラザードカンバトルにメタルクーラー来たるぶちかませ超快感ドラゴンボール Z ドッカンバトル全世界同時キャンペーン開催中ポタラ使ったら合体最強ダマス悟空ブラック高い気ぐらい海洋神の見習い人間嫌い過去現在未来人間滅ぼしたい人間ゼロ計画だからポタラ使ったら合体最強見た目を捨てたらむやみやたら強いキャラポタラ不死身だから切られたら増えるから宇宙そのもの無限ざます無限に増えて人間滅ぼす神辛い未来それでも絶対諦めない盾希望の戦士世界の盾になるために僕のベジータ未来に助けに来たら初めに苦しみ大ピンチだからポタラ使ったら合体最強ベストブルー気が高ブルーベストブルー心揺さぶる強さ荒ぶる合体したら強敵もへんちゃらポタラ使ったら合体最強ポタラ使ったら合体最強ドラゴンボール Z ドッカンバトル全世界同時キャンペーン間もなくポタラ使ったら合体最強ダマス悟空ブラック高い気ぐらい海洋神の見習い
Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another edition of LSM Monday, Laughingstock Media Monday. And on this stream, I'm going to be going into a little bit of the fallout of the announcement of Dragon Ball Daima. In the last edition of LSM Monday, I talked about my expectations. And, of course, I actually released some videos that you guys can see on my trailer, or on my, on my channel. If only I had a trailer, then my producers, well, they would have a much harder time dealing with me. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that you guys can see my breakdown of the Dragon Ball Daima trailer. And not just that. Wait, there's more. You'll be able to also see my actual live broadcast of the Dragon Ball Daima announcement. Which I showed on stream, I believe, last Wednesday or Thursday, whenever this was announced. But nonetheless, there have been a lot of interesting responses thus far from people all across the fandom. Positive, negative, certainly polarizing to say the very least. And I don't mean the North Pole or the South Pole that Quaman is from. You know, down there where he lives on a research station and, you know, he goes to a local hot topic, but he just has to watch out for polar bears because if he doesn't, well, they're going to kind of, you know, get him. But with that being said, I will now turn my eyes and attention to the live chat here, guys. Hoping that all you make sure to leave a like. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and enable all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos, streams, community posts, and whatever else they actually notify you about. I have no idea because I haven't gotten them in years. With that being said, also share your own thoughts. And for all you guys who are watching the stream after it already came out, you guys are watching the DVR, which for LSM Monday, those ones go up. The non-canon streams, I don't even know what you're talking about. What stays in non-canon also will remain non-canon. But if you guys are subscribed and you're actually, you know, staying tuned to the channel, you guys can see some non-canon concepts and collaborations and things only here on Laughingstock Media. Now I'm going to ask everyone in the chat, how's it going? Let me take a look over there right now as I pop up the stream. Why am I not on stream? The stream. This is actually the wrong view. That would explain it. Maybe figure out how to use OBS mic. That'd be pretty smart now, wouldn't it? Got 46 people here watching right now to start out. Thank you guys so much. I love that more and more people have started to show up when the streams start because, you know, oftentimes I know that until you're like an hour or two into the stream, doesn't entirely notify you or show you in your homepage or anything. So let me open up the chat and we will be taking a look at what you guys are saying. Welcoming everyone here. A lot of times there are too many people welcome by name, but if I miss your name, well, you know, hopefully I won't next time. There we go. Wow, that is really big. Anyway, let's get into your chats. Okay, so yes, this is definitely a canon stream. You got that right. Hi, Biggie Cheese Jr., Video for Life. Vincent Fiasco, White Boy in the Trenches. Joey Sullivan, TM. And then kanji that I could not read. Damon W. DT. Scooter Looter. God is Great. Xavier de God, Christopher Lambastille, J-Bomb, Daniel Santiago Hurtado, Saurian Sky. Pretty cool. Sounds like a wrestler's name or something like that, like Velvet Sky or Io Sky, even though she was Io Shirai for like 10 years or whatever. And Virtual. I don't know if you're actually seeing all these on the stream. There they go. And men should respect all women. I don't watch cartoons, he says. Yeah, then why are you here? Staying up late for this one. This is Mika W. I'm glad that you're with me tonight. Pause. But anyway, I got into the habit of doing that when knowing Danny and Kwame, and they always used to do the whole pause thing, and so I kind of appropriated it from them. I kind of borrowed it, as artists tend to say. What is it, that fake quote that supposedly Picasso said, but as far as I know, he didn't actually say it. Good artists borrow, great artists steal. That would explain Toyotar. Anyway, let's keep going. So, with everything being said, let me actually talk a little bit about Dragon Ball Daima. And I keep forcing myself not to say Daimao. because thus far it's definitely been really interesting in terms of the overall responses to it. In terms of many people in this community, well, some of them seem to like it, some of them not so much. So maybe it actually would be a good idea for me to do an impromptu video right here on stream right now that I may upload or maybe I never will. Either way, you guys get to see it. And that will be my thoughts on the Fallout. Fallout 76. No. My thoughts on the Fallout 76 is trash, but my thoughts on the Fallout of Dragon Ball Super Daima Z GT, the legacy begins. If Goku can't do it, who can? The universe's strongest guy. Burn up. Galaxy on the brink. Cooler's revenge. Fukatsu no F. And Broly. So let me record this. Good thing I didn't record any of this part, because then I'd have to, cut it out. Okay. So, let's do a video. Is it too bright in here, though? And that's the question. Most of the time with my videos, it's either too dark or too bright. I very rarely get in that Goldilocks zone of set design combined with the conjunction of proper illumination. Also, there's a chance that maybe Harold is going to read some of Arnold's book live. He gave me his special magical sunglasses, so I can sound like him on stream sometimes, and in shorts sometimes. That'll go on Harold's secret channel. That I'm still waiting for him to upload a video on. It's only been about 10 years now. Almost as consistent of an uploader as Blackenfist in Dragon Ball Nation. But anyway, let's do this. So I want to check the chat one more time. I don't want to ignore any of you guys when I'm talking. So let me do this right now. And I'm going to record this. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Xavier. I guess I looked at the right time. Super chat. Wow. Thank you. Awesome. So much. If anyone else super chats during the stream and I don't notice it because I'm recording something, just make sure to remind me after the recording, because I don't want to miss anyone's messages or anything like that. So, Xavier, you said, Mike, what's your favorite Predator trio? The Youngbloods from AVP, Celtic, Chopper, and Scar, or the Super Predators from Predators, Berserker, Tracker, and Falconer. Predator trio. Do you mean like a time when there were 3 Predators on screen? Do you mean like... Yeah, you might have to clarify that. I mean, favorite Predator trio, the Youngbloods from AVP. So I'm guessing you're talking about the young Predators that they send in to fight the aliens. Chopper and Scar, or Celtic, Chopper, and Scar, I guess their names. The Super Predators from Predators 2010. Okay. Yeah, I understand it can be hard to to format these questions sometimes because the character limits they give you. So which Predators do I like more on screen, I guess? That's a tough one. I mean, overall, I prefer Predators as a movie. I think that the distinction between the two Predator classes is pretty cool. You know, it makes a degree of sense. Not the direction I would have gone in with my own Predator movie, but if I ever did a Predator movie, it would be all about the Predator from his point of view, like his training on their home planet, like the exploration of their culture and all the other stuff, and then him being sent off to his first world to fight against the Predators that are, or the other alien creatures that are there. There'd be a lot of cool stuff I'd love to do if I got to make a Predator movie. I actually planned a whole movie called Prey, which was like a backdoor sequel, as they like to call it, to Predator. But then a movie called Prey came out, so I probably have to change the title. Predator. No. But yeah, I don't know. Difficult question. I'm sure I'll do reviews of all the Predator movies in the future. Unlike Terminator, I don't know if the Predator movies get claimed when I review them. Every time I review a Terminator movie, it gets blocked worldwide. I reviewed Terminator 2, I think it was my first video on Laughingstock Cinema, and it was like a glowing praise review where I gave the movie a 10 out of 10, I think, and they blocked it worldwide, even though I didn't use any copyright footage or anything. You know, maybe what I'll do is I'll re-review the movie and then I won't do anything other than just being on screen and maybe using IMDb and then see if they still block it. I wouldn't be surprised. One of my favorite analytical channels, Robert Ager, got his Terminator video blocked recently. I think multiple, but I don't quite remember if he expanded on the rationale. But yeah, either way, okay, when I see the 3, you know, maybe Predators. 2018 was terrible. That was like an abomination. Shane Black's, yeah, it sucks. He was in the first movie and he helped to write the script. Like they literally hired him just so that he could touch up the script. But then he just was terrible at making the movie itself. And also Iron Man 3, but I don't know. I mean, I think I liked Iron Man 3 more than I liked Predator 2018. So that goes to show you how bad it is. I mean, a movie that has Thomas Jane, Key, and some other good actors I can't remember right now, and it still was terrible. That's not a good thing, obviously. Care about it. Really looking to power scaling, getting a reset. Yeah, I talked about that in my video recently. I think my most recent video, in fact, with Geekdom 101, where we discussed the 10 things we don't want to see in Dragon Ball Daima. And I had said that I was hoping that it would get a like a power reset and then going with a new power system. I mean, I did a video on my channel a little while back about why Dragon Ball needs another power system. Maybe we're finally going to get that. Maybe they're going to pull a JoJo and they're going to go from just having like key-based powers to something totally different with its own unique power system. I mean, imagine how awesome that would be in Dragon Ball. You take the martial arts aspect, the iconic franchise of Dragon Ball, and you change it just like they did at the start of Dragon Ball Z. Instead of it being, you know, sci-fi based, now it becomes like something, you know, different while retaining the same spirit of the franchise. I think that would be awesome. So, yeah, I'm hoping that they do it correctly, that they execute everything well. I know that at first the kid thing definitely is a turnoff, but I'm going to talk about that in the video I'm right about to record. Yeah, I know you're definitely trolling now with saying T2 is the worst. You know, I understand why people like I understand that people like the original one more in a lot of cases because of like the grittiness and how it's less comedic and stuff. But no, Terminator 2 for me is definitely my favorite. Even though Terminator 1 is great. Okay, so let me do this real quick. By real quick, it's me, so you know it's going to take a while. By the way, 45 people watching. Let's get those likes up, guys. I know as a streamer, you're basically obligated to say that, but you know, it does help the channel because this video, more engagement it gets, the more promoted it gets. And thus, you know, why streamers pretty much always ask for likes, I think, because, you know, it helps. YouTube, their promotion is really weird, but either way, let's get into this. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I want to discuss something which has to relate to, well, everyone in the Dragon Ball community thus far, which is the reaction and the fallout to Dragon Ball Daima, the teaser trailer, and the overall announcement and concept. Because with regard to this, it definitely has been polarizing to say the least. There are definitely people who are very positive about it, and there are people who are quite negative about it. And thus, as a result, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be examining the pros and cons of what we're currently being presented with while showing, you know, certain imagery along the way. And then in turn, I will also kind of say where I really fall on overall. So let's get into that right now. But before I begin, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Make sure to leave a like, share your own thoughts down below, and watch the entire video. That way you'll be able to help us to get even more promoted and go even further beyond. I don't want to keep saying the same thing in every video. And you'll be able to help us go less far beyond, I don't know. But with that being said, guys, let's get into the video. Uber far beyond. You know, I don't want to get sued by Uber, though, so I'm not going to say that. You'll be able to go to Mars. Oh, no, I'm going to get sued by Elon Musk. All right, so let me grab some pictures. I actually have some already. I'm going to pop them up on the video. I just have to find where I put those. Did a lot of prep. And now it's, well, kind of vanished into the abyss. Laurentian abyss. Heck are all these pictures? You know, I could always just show I guess I could always show the trailer again, but I don't want to do like another trailer breakdown. Let's see if I could do this. Okay. Here we go. Perfect. Perfect. Do I have my banner? Yep. All right, so the first thing that everyone is reacting to, regardless of positive or negative, has to come down to Goku and everyone else in the main cast that we've seen thus far being turned into kids. Now, we don't know for a fact exactly how they are transformed into kids. The trailer implies that's through a wish on the Dragon Balls, although considering the fact that we've learned in the past that the Dragon Balls cannot affect an unwilling character who is weaker than, unless they are weaker than that of the Guardian or the god who created the Dragon Balls, the Namekian, in this case Dende, then in turn, how would every single character at the same time, especially characters like Goku, Vegeta, and Supreme Kai, who are way more powerful than Dende, capable of being affected and turned into children, which is one of the things that leads me to suspect that maybe that's almost like a red herring with what we see with the Dragon Balls, that they're used for something else, like maybe bringing back Babidi, as we see in the trailers him being shown a lot, and the same thing with Majin Buu. And also even Deborah, who gets briefly mentioned and has a direct connection to the demon realm, where it seems like the villains have been coming from. But with regard to everything we've seen thus far, people have seemingly, for the most part, been overwhelmingly negative about Goku and Vegeta being turned into kids. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because of Dragon Ball GT. After all, the very first episode of GT saw Goku, the main character, being turned into a kid, the Black Star Dragon Balls being shot off across the galaxy, and thus in turn, Goku, Pan, and Trunks, and then eventually Giru, would go around the galaxy to different planets on a grand tour in order to get the Dragon Balls to come back and then somehow eventually reverse Goku's aging. Now, in terms of this story, it does seem very close to that in a lot of ways. All right, 1 second. Here we go. Where Goku, Supreme Kai, and Kibito are going to be going off on another journey to try and track down the evil sorcerer, the evil being, maybe a demon, for example, or a Makaio Shin, a demon type of evil Supreme Kai, I guess Zamasu wasn't for whatever reason, and in turn being able to, in fact, undo what has been done to them. And the thing is, considering the fact that they are going after these demons as children, that would also lead me once again to make the idea or the possibility that perhaps they were actually transformed into children by some other type of magic, which is probably the reason why they're trying to track down the villains as children in order to defeat them. But with that being said, again, a lot of people don't like this conceptually. They think it's, oh no, GT again. Oh no, this is going to be terrible. But with regard to that, it's definitely something I can understand why people would react negatively to. People didn't really like the direction that GT took things. They didn't like how Goku had been taken from someone who is basically a master now at the position of power that he was at and regressed him into a child. It symbolized in many ways how the franchise was being regressed because unlike with Dragon Ball Z, for example, where things went in the direction of science fiction and taking everything in a further progressive path with regard to Dragon Ball GT, instead of moving on to brand new things with brand new concepts, maybe brand new characters taking over the forefront, which Oob was kind of set up to do, Gohan before him, and Goten Trunks. Instead, it basically just regressed everything back to the start of Dragon Ball, except in space, with Goku being a kid one more time, and then in turn, pairing him with characters who just weren't handled that well and ultimately didn't really matter, considering the fact that other than powering Goku up or contributing for moral support, everything came back down to Goku winning again and again and again, until they just eventually ended the franchise with, again, it not really feeling like true progression in the sense that it should have. So a lot of people definitely seem justified in their appraisal of the characters being turned to kids, Goku going off with Shin Kibito in order to try and go on this magical tour, this Daima tour of, I guess, the Demon Realm. But at the same time, this is just a teaser trailer. We don't really know how everything's going to be executed. And maybe just based on appearances, people are being turned off by the child aspect of it. It might still end up being executed in a way better way than GT ever was. And taking concepts that on paper definitely wouldn't appeal to the fan base, but in turn end up actually being handled in a great way to where, like, you know, it was kind of weird that Goku and friends were turned into kids. It kind of was strange in a sense that, you know, Toriyama decided to once again repeat something they did in GT by turning him and then expanding it, not only with Goku, but then expanding it to all of the main cast. But simultaneously, if that's just one little thing that kind of leads to the entire franchise or the entire series playing out, where it ends up being great and has... All right, let me actually show the action panels now. great action and animation, then that doesn't really end up being a problem now, does it? I mean, after all, the original Dragon Ball had some of, if not the best fight scenes in the franchise, and most of that, Goku was a kid during that time. Additionally, the animation that we've seen thus far from Dragon Ball Daima in the trailers looks great. I mean, we see just the little fight scene between Goku and Vegeta when Goku's in his base form and Vegeta is in his, and then we see them firing the Gallic Gun and the Kamehameha at each other, which is kind of a throwback to what we saw with their original fight in the Saiyan Saga, which, of course, at this point in the franchise, they're always going out of their way to showcase and keep reminding us that happened, even though there are really more iconic fights in the series, but they always show us this one as if it's the most. And most people seem to be appreciating the animation. Even the people who do not like the concept of Goku, Vegeta, and everyone else being turned to kids are still saying that the animation looks great. And that's because the fact that they clearly are really going hard on this. In fact, it's probably also contributed by the fact that Toriyama is working so heavily on this franchise, that Toriyama is working so heavily on this particular series because of the fact that, you know, as we know with Dragon Ball Super, Toriyama in fact himself called up and complained to Toei that they were not actually using animation as well as they could have. And, you know, even, you know, let me take a sip of water for the working man real quick. And Toriyama himself complained to Toei staff because of the fact that he didn't think the animation was good at first for Dragon Ball Super. And so many other people didn't think so either. I mean, we remember episode 5, for example. So the overall reaction to the animation here has definitely been a positive one. Now, a lot of that comes down to the fact that it is being led by Nakatsuru, who was also the animator on Dragon Ball GT, the lead animator and designer, the lead animation design person, who is in charge of the animation and design in Dragon Ball GT. And so, as we know, GT oftentimes looked really good. So seeing him return, there's going to be a good amount of cuts in this one, but it's all good. Has already shown to be a net positive when it comes to the animation. Now, I do suspect that most of what we see in the trailer actually comes from the first episode. There's so much stuff that sets up the overall premise of the story with the showcasing of these beings who are watching imagery and perhaps past clips, you know, maybe through GodTube, for example, of Babidi, Majin Buu, and the Buu saga overall, as well as the different exploits of Goku and the main cast. And so always trying to find some good shots. Where's that shot of all of them being hits? One moment, everybody. Here we go. Coupled with the fact that we also see Goku and everyone turned into kids in this trailer, it seems like most of what we've seen thus far... Man, I really need some extra H2O right now. And coupled with the fact that we see Goku and Vegeta and everyone else being turned into kids in this trailer, it seems like most of it is from the introduction. And thus, as a result, I suspect that within at least the first 1 or 2 episodes, we will see pretty much everything that happened in the teaser trailer playing out, because it is, in a sense, a way to introduce people to the series. And so as a result, it makes me even less inclined to want to react in a very strong way, because the fact that I feel like many people who are right now are just missing out on the fact that it probably is just really early stuff that happens in the series and only gets way better from here. And again, the child aspect might not even last the entire series for all we know. It might last for 1 arc, and then they might have several seasons, several arcs of this show that all go in different directions. I mean, what if after this arc, what if Goku and the cast are turned back from being children and they say, "Can you please make us older again, Shenron?" And he's like, "Okay." And then he turns all of them into old men. And so we get an arc where Goku and friends are now old. And then we have, maybe they're so old that they're also once again weakened. And thus in turn, the most powerful fighters are Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and the characters that would be naturally long-lived, like, for example, Piccolo, and characters like even Master Roshi, because he was already old to begin with. So how much older are you going to make a hundreds of years old immortal man? You know, and we see just how broken his power is in the Tournament of Power, especially in the manga version when he's fighting Jiren. So we don't really know, and that's why I feel like with regard to the reactions on both sides, I do feel like we've seen a lot of extremes. You know, sure, it's definitely a good idea to try and have, you know, a little bit of skepticism about everything that comes out. After all, this is a trailer that is supposed to get you excited for the product that you are then going to either purchase or consume in the future. And thus, as a result, as educated And thus, as a result, as informed consumers, we have a duty to ensure that anything we go into, we at least are able to look at the ins and the outs of it, the pros and the cons, and then decide based upon that whether we're going to like it. And definitely when it comes time to watching the show, I feel like one of the things this fandom really needs to avoid doing with this series is being blind fans who in turn will start to attack anyone who does in fact have valid criticisms. And the very same thing could also be the case, I guess, for people who attack anyone who likes it. I think at the end of the day, people need to stop with the kind of generalization, the ganging up, and saying things like, we only wanted Dragon Ball Super to continue, or we only wanted this or that. Because when you say we only wanted, you're speaking for everyone, but the truth of the matter is there's plenty of people who never wanted Dragon Ball Super to come back again, plenty of other people who wanted something totally different, plenty of people who love GT in this fandom, and they wanted to see more of that direction style. So again, I definitely think it's a good idea to go into this with open eyes, with also a hint of skepticism, and if it ends up being bad, then definitely that's something that we need to admit to, because there have been plenty of bad things that have been in this franchise up until now, especially in the modern iteration of it, the Dragon Ball Renaissance, if you will. And the very same thing is the case for if it ends up being great. I have been ready for something really good to come out of this franchise for a long time. I tried really hard with the Moro arc, and when it comes to the movies, I love Dragon Ball Super Broly. I'm not afraid to admit that. And I also really liked Dragon Ball Super Superhero and definitely love certain aspects of it. And who knows, maybe I'll end up liking it even more than the Broly movie in the future. But who knows whether or not this is going to turn out that way. That's why I'm going to do the same thing that I was doing leading up to this, which is I'll see it when I believe it. I'll wait and see. And hopefully it's good. But if it's not, well, you're going to hear it either way from me. But with that being said, guys, let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Actually, let me do full screen again. But with that being said, guys, let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. If you're new here, subscribe and enable all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Thanks for watching this far. You guys are awesome. And make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future. Unless we get hit by an asteroid and we all explode. How about that for a dark ending? I wonder how long that video was. Let me look. Almost 20 minutes. Wow. I told you it would take a little while. Maybe I should have talked a little bit longer, right, Quaman? So close to 20 minutes. I know you always love when my videos are longer than that. I know that a lot of my commenters do too, that's for sure. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Okay, what do you think about that? Hey, we got another super chat from Michael West. I don't know if it was your first one, but thank you so much. Hey, it's Quaman. Hey, Mike, what's the scripter for today? Well, I'm sure you just saw some of it where I was going into the reactions back and forth, positive and negative, to Dragon Ball Daima. I don't know if you're around, but if you end up wanting to come on or anything, let me know. Let's see. Having the right tone. Why is Goku so dark in GT? I forget exactly. I think it's just because they were trying to differentiate themselves a little bit. Also, like in universe, Goku lived in Oob's village for like 5 years, so maybe he just got a really good tan. I don't know. Maybe he started applying tanning lotion. Just laying out by the beach and getting the sun rays and, you know, hey, yeah, Oob, you're doing fine. Yeah, just keep punching the air. Yeah, Hulk Hogan. He was more hot dog colored, though. His tan. As you could tell, I'm very tan. I'm about as tan as Casper the Friendly Ghost. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's some people who are looking forward to it, some people aren't. Oh yeah, I forgot to answer your super chat. That would be smart. Thank you again, Michael West. So, if Goten and Trunks are babies, is Pan born yet, or is Videl back to being pregnant? Wait, what happened? Oh. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. We saw Marin as like a kid being held by 18. She looked about a similar age to what she was in early Super, I think. Yeah, it's weird. Because the fact that, let's see. Yeah, it's like a lot of people are like, if Goku and the others are kids, then theoretically, you know, their children should basically be turned back to, well, either return back to where they came from, literally, or they should just be turned back into what they were before. But I don't know. I mean, Goten and Trunks are children. What about Gohan? Is he going to be a child? I don't know because they don't show him. Maybe we're going to find out that Gohan is off, I don't know, training with Beerus and Whis. Yeah. A lot of people are saying that they think that this is going to take place before Super. That wouldn't really make any sense because Kibito and Shin are not combined anymore. And we know that they no longer were combined after Battle of Gods. Like right sometime before the Universe 6 tournament, maybe around Resurrection F or something, because I don't think we see them there, they defused with the Dragon Balls. So, yeah, I don't think it makes any sense for it to be before Super. It would have to be either during or after Super, hopefully way after. And, you know, then turn, maybe what will happen is that you'll have to find out in the next episode. Dragon Ball Z. I don't know. I didn't make the show. I didn't build the freaking thing. Vegeta Kid version. And plenty of people didn't like either. That's true. There's plenty of people who don't like anything Dragon Ball at all. And for them, well, at least there's Yu Yu Hakusho. And if you don't like that, well, at least there's Hunter x Hunter. And if you don't like that, well, at least there's JoJo. And if you don't like that, well, at least there's Full Metal Alchemist. And if you don't like that, at least there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And if you don't like that, well, then there is Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo, Full Metal Alchemist, and Brotherhood. And if you don't like those, you need to get some tastes and start to enjoy them. Yeah, seriously. But can we get those likes up, guys? 64 people watching right now. Let's get those likes soar into the skies so we can go even further beyond and get more people watching, because we want them all to see the other videos coming up now, don't we? 65 people now. Awesome. Oh, what's Kwaman saying right now? Let me go back to the chat. Huh? We don't make no fucking 20-minute videos on YouTube. That's what he said. Does anyone know what that's a reference to? I see he retracted one of them now. If only I could right-click and see what it said. But I can't. Why does it keep trying to ban people? Stop it, YouTube. Best diets to recommend. Keto, carnivore. Those seem like they work the best. Calorie restriction, intermittent fasting. Just do them all combined. You could stay on keto by only eating meat for 8 hours a day or less. You know, the best diet is not to eat at all. Do not take this as actual diet advice. Laughingstock Media is not a dietitian, and so on and so forth for legal reasons. But keto worked for me. Keto, calorie restriction. You can see my hands, I'm counting. And some degree of exercise probably helps. You know, for me, I tend to walk. I used to work out all the time, but, you know, I was still pretty hefty. And now I don't work out as much. Well, not true. I don't lift as much in terms of physical weight, but I do work out several times a week. And I walk. So, yeah. When I hit my weight goal, I'm going to start to try and put on some more mass, though. It'd be jacking stock media. That doesn't sound right. 17, 18, don't age. I don't know about that. Now, it would be weird. You know, Krillin's lucky because he got to be with a girl who's 18, but what about 17? He's perpetually stuck in high school like Edward from Twilight, I think. Death Note one shot needs to be animated. I haven't seen that. Dr. Stone. Yeah, I haven't seen the newest season of Dr. Stone, but I have seen everything up until that, I think. Unless there was a movie. I don't know if I saw that one. Yeah, Baki and Berserk. I gotta watch Baki. But I heard nothing but good things. Berserk, really good. 1990s version, at least. Rewatched it recently, in fact. Demon Slayer. I think it's really good. I think it really picked up in the second season. And the third season, I think is good. There are episodes where I definitely like it for sure. But for me, Jujutsu Kaisen is way better. I'm watching season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen right now. It's great so far. I watched the first 6 episodes and I was like, wow, I actually just watched 6 episodes in a row. Whereas with most anime now, I like watch like an episode or two and I just feel like doing something different. I also saw the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie in theaters. It got to play in Japanese near me, so that was awesome. And it was actually pretty great. You know, it was a prequel, but it was great. I liked it. It's a lot like Yu Yu Hakusho, so I really like it. Same thing with Bleach. It's a little bit like Bleach, which I don't like as much as Yu Yu Hakusho. And it has powers that are like JoJo and Hunter x Hunter in a sense, like Gojo's Mugen, and his Infinity, and Six Eyes, and I mean that is so complicated that it's like straight out JoJo, basically, like one of the most complicated stands ever. The stand user could be anyone. Meanwhile, it's a guy walking down the street with like a top hat and a cane, as everyone is just wearing like, normal working class clothes. Also, he has a stand, which is floating around him. But you'll find out in 20 episodes when he finishes explaining all of the abilities of the stand. And they beat him anyway. Unless it's Pooch. But anyway, I'm not going to spoil that for everyone. I got spaghetti sauce. I can't tell if that's racist or not. But do you think we'll see Daima characters in Budokai Tenkaichi 4? I don't know. Looks like it's mainly super related. But I guess we'll see. Obviously, we're going to have legacy characters for sure. Maybe I'll play that on stream. I haven't played a Budokai Tenkaichi game a very long time. Episode 9 is goated. I've seen the first 6, I think, of... Is Jujutsu Kaisen over yet? Like, this season? Or is there, like... How many episodes are going to be in this season? I think there's 12 out right now, right? Best JoJo villain. So far in the anime, Dio. I mean, definitely Dio. He's the most iconic. He's like Frieza, like he might not be the most compelling in terms of his like narrative and stuff, like in terms of like the character development they give him and everything. I mean, he definitely gets it. Like a lot of people would pick Yoshikage Kira and Reverend Pucci. Some people even like the Pillar Men more. But for me, it's Dio. And then I haven't finished part 7, so it's hard for me to say with regard to the villains of part 7, 8, or now 9, if they introduced them yet in the new one. But yeah, overall, my favorite is Dio. It was me, Dio! Ora, wait. Muda. You got Jotaro with the Ora. Star Platinum, the world. Way better than him. But he at least has a cool ability in Hunter x Hunter. Or in whatever it is. Dragon Ball Super. Dio would destroy Alucard. I mean, does Alucard have the world? They cast him as Sayo in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX just so that he could say that. Okay, the monster, the world. Right side up. Perfect English. Almost as good as mine. Exactly. Does Super connect to Daima? You keep asking me that, and I would assume so, yeah. There are things that go into it that would only make sense to connect to Super, like the Supreme Kai being defused. Unless, maybe, it's actually... Okay, I did hard again. Unless maybe it's actually a totally different continuity, and they defuse differently. Or maybe they somehow defeated Majin Buu differently in this continuity before he even, I don't know, split or something. And so that obviously wouldn't make any sense, but hey, spitballing ideas. Yeah, you guys got in the chat. Jojo has the first ever which I think came from Dio. I give him credit for that, that's for sure. So, some other videos I actually wanted to record at some point are actually my other 2 Spider-Man reviews, because for whatever reason I did not do them yet. You'd think I would have done them like right after I watched those movies, but then I didn't. So let's see how much I remember. Yo, Angelo. I'm trying to remember what that's from. Guessing it's a JoJo reference. But yeah, let's see. So with regard to Daima, like I said before, you guys will see that video probably tomorrow coming out. I figure it's worth uploading. Might not get a lot of views, but hey, you know, it's something to put up tomorrow. And, you know, I'm going to go see the Battle of Gods movie in theaters again tomorrow. Well, actually, for the first time, I never got to see it during the original run. But I'm going to see it tomorrow in theaters, which is going to be cool. And then I'm going to do a re-review of that, which probably come out on Thursday. And then this weekend, I'm going to also be coming out with some other videos, obviously, because I always do, except for when I don't. And yeah, there's probably going to be some more theory-based videos coming out this weekend. In terms of all that, we'll have to see what it is. There's some videos I'm saving for later in the year. Like, I want to save not most, but I want to save some really big videos for, like, December. Kwame knows why. But in terms of some other videos, I'm definitely going to be dropping some stuff to come. And the thing is, at the end of the day, I don't know for a fact, like, what video is going to truly be a big video in terms of performance. You guys, there are certain videos I drop, and you guys end up really liking them, and they resonate really well. And I had zero expectation of them doing so. So as a result, you know, maybe I'll be dropping big videos every single time I drop a video for next eternity. I don't know, however long I'm doing this. And then at that point, I hope you enjoy them. Or maybe they'll all be really small videos and nobody will. But I guess we'll find out in the future. Let's see what you say right now. Oh. Xavier de God, thank you so much one more time for your $10 super chat. And you're asking me, why'd Vegeta think when Gohan... Let me actually just make this preview bigger. I don't know why I'm not doing that. There we go. Why did Vegeta think when Gohan got his power unlocked by the Grand Elder he thought it was Goku? Wouldn't he know Goku would have gotten stronger from a Zenkai boost, or was it a dub change? Yeah, Battle of Gods is back in theaters. It might be for 2 days. I don't really remember, but I'm going to see it tomorrow night. Okay, so in terms of your question, Xavier, I don't know what you're referring to specifically, because from what I recall, Vegeta doesn't say he thinks it was Goku. Piccolo does. So Piccolo senses Gohan coming, and he's like, "What? It's Goku!" And then we have Goten who's like, "No, it's my brother, it's Gohan." So I guess your question is, why did he think that it was why did Piccolo think that it was Goku? And not Gohan? Well, I feel like it's because the fact that a lot of times when characters go through power-ups in the story, they end up having a different feel to their energy. Not just that, but also like not just like the physical output of the energy, but at the same time it's also with regard to, let's say, the intent and the mindset and everything of the user, because a lot of key comes down to the mental aspect. And we see when Gohan shows up there, you know, he's wearing Goku's clothes. So that could be a good reason why Piccolo thought it was Goku, because he didn't recognize the energy. But then when Gohan shows up there and he's in his base form, well, his ultimate form, because he doesn't need to transform anymore until Super, then it becomes like, you know, him saying, wow, Gohan is so different right now. Like, not just in terms of his power, but also the fact that he seems more mature. He seems more, you know, determined. Like, he's a lot like, you know, when he was fighting against Cell, for example, after he transformed. So Piccolo probably didn't recognize the energy because the energy actually felt different. It isn't just like you always can tell who a character is when they're powering up, no matter what. Because, like, Trunks transformed into a Super Saiyan when he was on Earth. And Gohan was like, that's the same energy that my father had when he fought against Frieza. So you could interpret that as either Trunks is as strong as Goku on Namek, or Trunks has a type of energy which feels different because he's a Super Saiyan. And so in turn, when characters are sensing someone who's a Super Saiyan, they're able to sense like their Super Saiyan energy, but then they're able to kind of ascertain who it's coming from, either based upon like context clues of like, well, we already know this character is relevant to this one, etc., or probably because they still have that feeling that's unique to them when it comes to their energy that they give off. And so that's, again, why you can tell like, this is this person, this is that person, not just based upon their strength, but also like the feeling you get from them, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think that's what you're saying with regard to why Piccolo, in this case, I'm guessing, because I don't remember Vegeta saying anything like that, mentioned it. Oh, Quaman. Just to add, Mike, Vegeta thought Kid Gohan was Goku on Namek when Guru boosted him. I have to check the sub to verify. I don't remember that. I know that there's a possibility that Vegeta, if I remember correctly, maybe Vegeta said that, oh, I can sense a really strong power in there. Maybe Kakarot did come to Namek after all or something. So maybe he said something like that, if I can remember off the top of my head. But yeah, like again, a lot of times it comes down to when somebody gets stronger, they don't necessarily know who it is because, you know, let's say somebody gains an equal power to someone else. Well, maybe when they get that power up, their ki changes too, in terms of like the overall feeling aside from just the strength. But, you know, sometimes maybe somebody will be so consumed with the idea of the strength that they'll just overlook the finer details of the energy. Kind of like, again, how Piccolo couldn't sense that Gohan was fine after Cell kicked him into that cliff, and, you know, he was covered in rocks, and he's like, "Go, you got your son killed," because Piccolo was so caught up in his emotions of the moment and sensing Cell and everything that he wasn't keeping track of Gohan, whereas Goku was sensing Gohan and keeping track of him the entire time. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Yeah, I would have to see it in the dub or really in the sub. I don't have subtitles on my version of Kai though. Do I have it in the manga though? I could always pop it up in the manga, so let's do that right now. He might not have said in the manga though, because there are certain things. Well, there's tons of stuff that's exclusive to the anime for Namek. No, I popped open the wrong one. 26. Do you remember what volume it is from Quaman? Maybe 22. No, I think it's 23. Let's see. That's when the Ginyu... Yeah, so it's around the time the Ginyu Force is going to show up. Almost there. Let me actually just share my screen and show you guys real quick what I'm doing. Show you what I'm working with. Uh-oh. There's some weird freezing going on. Oh. Okay. It's weird that he couldn't sense or feel Nail's power when Nail would, like, one-shot Vegeta at this point in the story. But then again, at the same time, you could say maybe it comes down to the fact that Nail was suppressed. Let's see. Now, right when Gohan has his power unleashed by Guru, for some reason he doesn't become Beast Gohan, because I guess that they keep changing how potential works. Here we go. You're right, Kwame. He says, I get it. Kakarot is here, isn't he? Come out. And then Gohan comes out. But also, we do need to keep in mind that Vegeta, too, is very new to sensing energy, so perhaps he can't actually pick up on the finer details. Like, he can sense right here that there's some really incredible powers with multiple people approaching, but then again, Gohan's the one who mentions that there's more people approaching, and then after that, he starts to sense it, and he's saying that there are 5 in total, and thus in turn, it must be the Ginyu Force. So, with that being said, you know, Vegeta probably never sensed the power of the Ginyu Force before this, so he obviously wouldn't be able to tell it was them just by sensing them individually normally. He could probably guess relative to his own power and stuff, but overall I would have to say that, yeah, like in terms of that, sensing has a lot of interesting elements and sometimes plot holes perhaps to it, like, you know, how nobody knew that Vegeta was a Super Saiyan when he trained on Earth and became a Super Saiyan there. And a lot of other things that you have to kind of wonder about. But I'll do a whole video on sensing and how it works in the future. What chapter is this? It's in volume 24. Hold on. It's in volume 23. And the chapter is... I mean, there's 19 pages in chapter 271. They're closing in the Ginyu Force. Toku-sentai, Toku-sentai. Let's see. You said Vegeta was on Earth when he got Super Saiyan 3. I thought he was on another planet. Okay, that comes down to an adaptational difference. In the manga, Vegeta was never implied to have left the Earth. After pretty much at any point up until you know, he dies and goes to the afterlife and then Supreme Kai's realm and stuff like that. Other than that, Vegeta doesn't leave the Earth. Well, then I guess Planet Zune and wherever Babidi takes him, if you technically want to count it as that. But in the manga, Vegeta seems like he hangs around on Earth until Goku shows up. And then after that, he trains on Earth in the higher gravity. In the anime, for some reason, they have a scene where Vegeta is training, blasting asteroids, and he's really struggling, even though we saw him in the anime version blow up a planet with 2 fingers without even powering up that much. And then, you know, this was all when he had a power level of 18,000, whereas he has one in the millions now. So why was he struggling to blow up asteroids? And then he became a Super Saiyan. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But, the anime scaling is rarely consistent in that fashion. Either way, in the manga, he just trained so hard that he hit his wall. He couldn't get any stronger with the training he was doing. And so he got so angry at himself that he, in his hatred, became a Super Saiyan. Which, again, was probably on Earth. But, again, there are plenty of other things that happen on Earth with characters getting way more powerful and nobody notices. Even though, it would only make sense to do so because you have, like, dozens of characters at this point stronger than Frieza walking around on Earth and nobody notices. Vegeta bullied Guldo. That was a flashback. He didn't know how to sense energy back then. In the anime and manga, at the start of the arc chronologically, he encounters Kui, who he then kills. But when he's on Namek, that was when he was still on Planet Frieza before Kui goes to Namek after him. But yeah, he doesn't, and even then he's still using the Scouter at first. He doesn't take off and destroy the Scouter, I think, until he's fighting against Dodoria or Zarbon. I'm trying to remember exactly. I remember he was going to give Dodoria, I think, his Scouter, and then he destroyed it, and he's like, I don't need that thing anymore. And then he explains how he learned to use ki sensing. But yeah, the whole thing with Vegeta learning how to sense ki is really interesting, but also strange at the same time, because Goku just could do that. In the first arc, he's like, I sense something strange going on here. When they go into Sherman's village, I think, where they meet Oolong for the first time. But in terms of sensing ki and energy, they seem to imply it comes down to when he trains with Korin, either in the Red Ribbon Army or when he drinks the holy water, the real one that actually almost kills him and gives him a power-up. But yeah, they make a bigger deal out of it then. But considering the fact that Vegeta had a power level of 18,000, you'd kind of wonder why he and every other character couldn't just naturally sense people without a machine. But I guess maybe they just never knew it was possible. But then again, you have Ginyu and some other characters who understand that you could suppress your power because of their battle experiences. And I'm pretty sure Guldo can sense people's powers. He can't wear a Scouter because of, his face. But I'm pretty sure that they could still, some of them could still sense energy even in Frieza's army. So why it didn't spread more, your guess is as good as mine. I'm guessing it's just Toriyama really wanted to showcase that they relied so much on technology and numbers and things that ultimately would be overcome by Goku and friends when they transcend all those ideas. And then even now in Dragon Ball Super and now Daima, people are going to be asking what's Goku's power level, even though Toriyama gave up on those decades ago because, they no longer served a real narrative purpose in the story. Going from a low-class warrior and fighting the high class that, has all the power and the wealth and stuff like that, the numbers made more sense back then. And also for showing characters how strong they are relative to each other. You could still do power levels in a sense, like tiers. Even Toriyama did that with the Battle of Guys scale, but then he quickly eliminated that because obviously didn't serve a purpose anymore. Otherwise, if we're still counting the same scale, how is Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta not vastly more powerful than Beerus at this point? It doesn't make sense unless Beerus is also training. He stopped the Scouter in front of Dodoria. That's what I thought. Vegeta said he was out of energy. That's why he couldn't destroy it. I mean, we see him turn into a Super Saiyan, so he clearly wasn't out of energy. But I don't know. A lot of the filler training isn't really as consistent as what we see in the manga. I mean, we see way more training in the anime, but You know, it doesn't always line up 1-to-1. Like, training under higher gravity is way better training than blasting asteroids on some planet that's about to be destroyed. But then again, Broly apparently couldn't destroy a comet that was going to hit, you know, the planet he was on, even though he was the legendary Super Saiyan, who was like soloing a bunch of other Super Saiyans at the same time. That's Toei. Makes sense every time. Okay, guys, I will be right back. I'm going to take a brief intermission, and then we'll get back into talking about Supreme Kai's weird face. But no, I'm going to play some cool clips while I'm gone. Like another one about another Supreme Kai right here.
Potala, tala, skatala, 合体最強ダマスGoku Black 高い気ぐらい海洋神の見習い人間嫌い過去現在未来人間滅ぼしたい人間ゼロ計画だからポタラ使ったら合体最強見た目を捨てたらむやみやたら強いキャラポタラ不死身だから切られたら増えるから宇宙そのもの無限ざます無限に増えて人間滅ぼす神辛い未来それでも絶対諦めない盾希望の戦士世界の盾になるために僕のベジータ未来に助けに来たら初めに苦しみ大ピンチだからポタラ使ったら合体最強 Mr. Blue 気が高ブルーベストブルー心揺さぶる強さ荒ぶる合体したら強敵もへんちゃらポタラ使ったら合体最強ポタラ使ったら合体最強ドラゴンボール Z ドッカンバトル全世界同時キャンペーン間もなくポタラ使ったら合体最強ダマスGoku Black 高い気ぐらい海洋神の見習い人間嫌い過去現在未来人間滅ぼしたい人間ゼロ計画だからポタラ使ったら合体最強見た目を
Yeah, hello, my name is Harold Von Hugemuscles, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Zamasu's unholy gains! I mean, just look at those green biceps and the purple triceps. I mean, he's so asymmetrical that it almost actually works! Except it doesn't, because he's a scrawny weakling who used his scrawny Supreme Kai Blurring to come up with a plan that doesn't even make any damn sense! Yeah, how Zamasu skip brain day. That's what I should do a video about. Yeah. Let's read some scrawny comments right now. Is the stream over? No! I told you I'd be back! Why don't you listen to me every single time I'm doing these stupid videos? Yeah, we're always saying, yeah, my name is Harold Von Hugemuscles, but my name is Carmen Angry Austrian, and I've just returned from my training. And then I explain in depth whatever the hell that training was, which is usually some ridiculous thing compared to your scrawny earthlings. And then what they do at that point is then I talk about whatever I feel like. And then after that, I say I'll be back. And then I go train some more. And then I'm back. I'm gonna do some more videos. Again, rinse, repeat. Das is the life of the champion bodybuilder. Now, that's right, Harold. I mean, you do a lot of work for all of us here at Laughingstock Media. And we always appreciate it, you know? We definitely do. He called you Mike. Ugh, yeah, like, I'm not even 1% of Harold's 1% in terms of his gains, that's for sure. My voice is way too quiet to be Harold. He's way too loud. I could talk normally in a library. Harold gets kicked out of all of them. Although, to be fair, he can't fit in there. You know, big man problems. Okay. By the way, Kwame, what kind of shoes does Harold wear? How big are they, too? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to talk about something else momentarily. Don't worry, I came prepared, which is more than I could say about my non-canon streams. When this stream is canon, you know I'm trying. So, let's get into part 2 of my video recordings, where I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. One of the best comic book movies of all time. And then I'll talk about, well, I don't think it's one of my least favorite movies or necessarily one of the worst comic book movies anymore, but I'll talk about its sequel. Unfortunately, I did watch that again. And then I'm actually going to do, there's another video I'm planning to do. You guys will see it very soon. Inside Spider-Man 2. Let me open up 3 while I'm at it. Might as well. One of these days, maybe I'll do one of those drinking streams or something. That'll probably have to be a non-can one though. That's probably could get demonetized for sure. He's the big Austrian with those bindle beeps, yeah. He stomps up and down around his gym. You know, controlling the entire place with a satisfied look on his face because he's the big angry Austrian with those bindle beeps on his feet. Only Kwame and I are going to get that joke. Okay, let's do this part. Video 2. Showing you guys that the grind is in full effect tonight. I mean, you could watch the scene stuff. Like I get what you're saying in terms of the Vegeta training sequence in the anime version. Like, it's not impossible for Vegeta to be so exhausted that he's struggling to destroy asteroids, but I just don't think it was like I see what they were going for and stuff in the anime. They wanted to show him on-screen training and becoming a Super Saiyan. So it's like, let's have him go into space. We just have him do that in the Garlic Jr. saga. And so we're going to have him blast things. You know, he's got blast asteroids. That's going to be really cool to see on screen. And yeah, it looks cool. It looks visually appealing for sure. And, you know, Vegeta with his ripped gloves after the explosion, smashing his hand on the rocks and saying, "Why can't I surpass Kakarot?" But at the same time, though, like, in the manga version, he didn't transform into a Super Saiyan because he couldn't surpass Goku. like, I guess in a roundabout way, he transformed because he wanted to surpass Goku, but the reason what he gives, I could show it on the manga, why not, is because of his own self-loathing. So let me pull that up right now. Now, one of the biggest benefits of the anime version is they do expand upon the training. They show us more than one panel of every character training during that period of time, which Toriyama did not do. He showed literally like a section of a panel of, I can even show it to you when I find the correct volume. I'll show you like Vegeta when he becomes a Super Saiyan, but I also want to show you the actual volumes. So give me 1 second while I pull that up, guys. Yamcha fared very well against Dokata Gero. I almost did a fusion right there. I was going to say Dokata Gero, but then I was going to say Dokata Gero. Maybe I should just start calling him Dr. Gero. That way, like, the anime and manga fans will be pissed off at the same time. Hey, it's Dr. Gero. It's not Dr. Gero or Dr. Gero. It's Dr. Gero. Like Gero Springer. Maybe that's his last name. What's the deal with Saiyans? Even though I don't think Jerry Springer ever actually did say... Wait, am I saying Jerry Springer? Jeez, I mean Jerry Seinfeld. Unfortunately, this is a canon stream, so people are going to forever immortalize me calling him Jerry Springer instead of Jerry Seinfeld. But hey, Jerry Springer was pretty funny too. He had some very funny shows, that's for sure. Very highbrow shows, not lowest common denominator in any way. And filled with very respectable people who were very nonviolent and, didn't swear at all. And, they lived normal, happy lives where they didn't dress up in weird outfits or have different baby mamas or, basically spawn a whole franchise of shows about the very same thing. No, he was a funny comedian. He also wasn't the mayor of whatever town, Detroit or something. And, he definitely didn't get arrested for solicitation of anything. Doing my best not to get demonetized here, guys. Also, maybe I'll just show you well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm supposed to be doing a video about Spider-Man right now, by the way. And that is not what I'm doing right now at all, apparently. Hey, Quaman, does anyone know what volume what volume the scene with the training is? I always miss that one. It's like in 3 years we fight or something. I can never find it. It's like a look and you miss it kind of panel. I hope you guys appreciate all the the effort I'm putting into finding this one page. It's one of those ones I always forget the exact position. Here we go. Speaking of position, it's actually rotating correctly for some reason. Here we go. Awesome. I did it, guys. I did it. You guys didn't see the big journey I just went on here to find this manga panel. Jeez, I must have burned 1,000 calories just by hitting the keyboard here. Okay. So we see this is Toriyama's version of the training leading up to the fight against the androids. As you can see, it's very long and drawn out, and we see a whole sequence of Goku as a Super Saiyan, which is something we totally see in the anime, fighting against Gohan and Piccolo, wearing his way clothing. I mean, Piccolo's wearing his way clothing to square up against a Super Saiyan. Obviously, Piccolo would stomp Goku if they were to fight at this point in the series. I mean, that's what Quaman's going to make a whole video about. Why Piccolo was way stronger than Goku after a 3-year time skip. And then he'll show the scene that I'm showing right now. And then he'll make a whole argument to justify the title by saying that Goku was weaker than Piccolo because he was dying of the heart virus. And then he'll shout me out in the video and say, thanks to Mike from Laughingstock Media and Cinema, definitely mention Cinema. And at that point, he will, say, for this idea, or maybe he'll cut that part of the video out. He'll record it 5 times while doing that every time, and then he'll cut that part out of the video. Maybe he'll bury it at the very bottom of his description. It's like 3 words. Thanks, Mike from Laughingstock Cinema, and here's a link. I'd prefer it be in the video, though, Quinn. Let's be honest. I earned that. So this is this is what I was talking about. This is the panel where we see all the training for all the characters, with the exception of like one panel of Vegeta training in the time chamber, maybe 2. And yeah, so definitely a little bit more expansive and extensive in the Dragon Ball anime. But with that being said, here's Vegeta. And now when Vegeta becomes a Super Saiyajin against Jinzo Ningen 19, he says his awesome line of, I'm curious, are you artificial humans capable of feeling fear? And then he becomes a Super Saiyan, which is awesome. He has very long legs in this scene, apparently, compared to his body, but, it's fine. And then we see everyone's freaking out. What? He's a Super Saiyan? Him too? Apparently nobody sensed him become a Super Saiyan. No way, this can't be happening. How can he turn into a Super Saiyan, says Krillin. I thought you had to have a serene heart. It was serene, all right, serene and pure evil, that is. Oh, Vegeta, you're so edgy, you can cut glass with that attitude. I single-mindedly dedicated myself to becoming stronger. I put myself through the most ruthless training, and my limitations were made painfully obvious to me. Oh, come back here. It was then, in my self-loathing, that it suddenly awoke, the Super Saiyan within me. Oh! Huh? Huh? I shook with joy. The time for me to surpass Kakarot and to reclaim my place as the Prince of all Saiyans had finally arrived. So yeah, and then we had a fight, and he gets punched in the face. I suppose that's the most I could expect. Failed to mention earlier that when I become a Super Saiyan, I tend to become a little less forgiving. I find myself becoming somewhat overzealous in the heat of the moment, you see. I take it you don't feel pain, is that right? How lucky for you. For you! Sad for you! So yeah, as you can see what I was just talking about right here before, Vegeta in the manga version transforms differently than he does in the anime, where he says that it was because of his self-loathing, not his desire to surpass Goku, that it suddenly awoke the Super Saiyan within me. At that point, he reveled in the joy of becoming one, and he had finally surpassed Kakarot and reclaimed his place as the Prince of all Saiyans. Or in another version that I've used before, he had become the Saiyan Messiah. So yeah, that took about 5 years, 5 minutes on Namek. But I think I explained what I was saying before and answered your question. Awesome. Okay. Oh, am I still sharing my screen? Yeah, I'm certainly no Brian Drummond or Sean Schemmel. Obviously, he hasn't voiced Vegeta, though. I got you guys. He voices Goku Black. Live from England. Okay. Oop. Let's try not to break my microphone here. Okay, so did the whole explanation about Vegeta. And then this is to go even further beyond. Okay. So let's do another video here, guys. I basically should have just done that as a video, but hey. I am a Dragon Ball fan. So let's do this other video. I'll get to any chats or anything after the video. Maybe I'll pause in between. We'll see. This is for Laughingstock Cinema. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be continuing my reviews of the Spider-Man Tobey Maguire Sam Raimi trilogy with Spider-Man 2. Now, growing up, Spider-Man 2 was one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It actually was my favorite up until, I believe, either X-Men 2 came out. Let me actually just look that up, because instead of just saying I believe, I'll actually just look up when X-Men 2 came out, and then turn I can know for a fact if I 2003, okay. Maybe X-Men 2 was my favorite then, even with Spider-Man 2. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I remember correctly. I think I remember my own life. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be discussing my favorite... No, I don't like how it sounds. Right the first time. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be continuing my series of reviews of the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. And in this video, I'm actually going to be reviewing Spider-Man 2, which is one of my favorite superhero and comic book movies of all time. Now, as I said before with the original Spider-Man, which you could see a review of in the top right corner, I had some things that I really liked about it, and also some things I didn't like so much. I break that down way more in depth. This is going to be continuing from that. Naturally, it's also going to be having spoilers that are going to be following up on that, and then during the video itself and review. But nonetheless, it is one of those movies that I thought definitely needed to live up to, at the very least, and surpass the original movie, because I was a big Spider-Man fan, and there were certain things I didn't think it captured quite as well. However, in this movie, I ended up loving it when it initially came out, and thinking it far surpassed most other comic book movies of the time, and even for some time afterward. And with that being said, I was wondering, going back into this one, if that actually would still be the case, if I still really would love this movie, or maybe it simply didn't hold up with time. But overall, coming out of that movie and rewatching it, I would have to say that I still think it's a great comic book movie, still one of the best of all time, still holding up in many ways, and with other things with new eyes that I have today, well, I'll be discussing them in depth. But before I begin, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Additionally, make sure to leave a like, share this video out, share your own thoughts in the comments, if I didn't already say that, and if so, I'll just cut this part out. And make sure to watch the entire video. That way you guys will be able to help this channel to continue to grow, be more promoted, and to go even further beyond for my Dragon Ball fans out there. With that being said, let's get into the review. Okay. So coming out in the year 2004, Spider-Man 2 ended up being a movie that once again helped to revolutionize live-action comic book films. The first one, along with the first X-Men, were already doing great things in terms of reinventing for a lot of people what a live-action comic book character and portrayal could be like. That, along with Blade and eventually X-Men 2 and some of the other movies coming out at the time, showed people that not only could you have really good, compelling stories with regard to a comic book character in live action, but also that they could be really profitable. And that's definitely the case for Spider-Man 2 with regard to it being one of the most successful sequels of the time and a movie that still continues to influence everything here today. And again, once again, Tobey Maguire returned for this movie as Peter Parker with his portrayal. Now, with regard to that, Tobey Maguire was actually injured with his back coming into this movie. And so as a result, there was a chance that they were actually going to replace Tobey. And, that goes into some behind the scenes things you could see in different documentaries about how a lot of the time Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire didn't really get along when it came to filming the films. And as a result, he actually was one of the people, based upon what I recall, who actually wanted to recast Tobey with Leonardo DiCaprio playing Spider-Man. However, Tobey ended up showing up on the filming, and they did some things to kind of write in the fact that he was injured. Like, for example, the scene where he falls from up top on the rooftops and injures his back, and he says, "Oh, my back," which ended up becoming a big meme that you'll see right here. When I edit the video, guys. My back! My leg! My cabbages! Let's see if Oh, why is it not zooming out? This is weird. There we go. Now, in terms of the overall storyline, the film, with regard to Spider-Man, now it features very different struggles. This movie is definitely the ultimate down-on-your-luck underdog story in a sense, because literally everything that can go wrong goes wrong for Spider-Man in this movie. And you really feel for him, because not only is Tobey Maguire such an earnest portrayal of Spider-Man, as I mentioned in the previous video, with it being very similar to Christopher Reeve's portrayal of Superman in his own films with Richard Donner, the fact of the matter is that you see that he's struggling. He has like a low rent apartment with his landlord who's always saying, "Give me rent," which you could also see in this video right now. Not only that, but his Aunt May is going through financial struggles where she's going to lose her home because of not paying her taxes. And then after that, there's also the fact that everything with Mary Jane is really going sideways. I'm going to get into that when I get into her character, because a lot of the things that people didn't like about the first movie, they really do not like in this movie with the second part with Mary Jane. But with that being said, and usually I'm a big fan of Mary Jane, and usually the fans are a big fan of Mary Jane. Trying to think of like a funny... Nah, I don't feel like channeling Seth Rogen today. So with that being said... I'm Donkey Kong. It's my impression of Donkey Kong. And combined with the fact that one of his best friends... Let me see if I can actually show him on screen when I do this. I don't know why some of these pictures are so low res. This video will not be as highly edited, I suppose. Maybe I'll grab pictures and crop them in. We'll see. And combine that with the fact that we have one of his best friends, or perhaps his best friend, and combine that with the fact that we have his best friend, who is Harry Osborn, who blames Spider-Man for the death of his father, and not just that, but knows that Peter Parker is the photographer who takes pictures of Spider-Man and will not reveal his identity to Harry. This leads to everything culminating with not only the issues with Harry, where it's being built up to where eventually he will become the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin as he was supposed to be, but his suit and everything ends up being totally different than you would expect in the next movie, which I'll get into when we come time for that review. And this leads to a situation where Spider-Man loses his powers. He no longer is capable of actually being able to fight Spider-Man because of his mental block. And of course, during all of that, we have the fact that he also is not wanting to be Spider-Man anymore. He doesn't want to have to keep making the sacrifices required to be a truly great hero like Spider-Man, sacrificing Mary Jane, sacrificing his happiness, and thus in turn, we have a great scene where he and the actor who portrays Uncle Ben are sitting in a car in his imagination, which is also really similar to what happens in Batman v Superman on top of the mountain, and then also in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, which wasn't as effective as this one either way. And with that being said, he says that he's not going to be Spider-Man anymore, throws his suit in the trash, which of course is based on the iconic Spider-Man story of Spider-Man No More, which I think this movie does a really great job of portraying in its own way. Now, with regard to the Mary Jane situation, I'll save that actually. Let me talk about something else positive before I get into that. Now, as for the villain in this film, we have Dr. Otto Octavius, or Doc Ock, who is portrayed by Alfred Molina, who does a great job in this. In terms of the villains in the Spider-Man movies, for me, Doc Ock was actually always my favorite. I think that the way that they make this character extremely sympathetic, where he is introduced as this nice guy who has his wife, and, then in turn, he's trying to change the world in a positive way with his science, but then everything goes wrong. He loses his wife. He ends up basically being taken over by the AI, in the independent arms that are on his back, which in turn caused him to become Doc Ock. But then he's trying to once again recreate the machine, either through a combination of the AI wanting to do that for their own purpose, or perhaps his own ego, or all of the above. And in turn, he proceeds to do terrible things like robbing banks, trying to kill people, trying to kill Spider-Man, and a bunch of other things, with eventually his end goal of trying to build this machine that creates essentially like an artificial sun ends up backfiring, and in turn leading to the almost destruction of everything. Another character that he brings in everything, not only along with Harry, who is trying to get Spider-Man to find out his secret identity and then in turn kill him. And this also leads into him teaming up with Harry, which in turn gets Spider-Man in a situation where he's able to reveal his secret identity, and then in turn finds out that he was actually Peter Parker. Now, considering just how easy Spider-Man was able to break free of the bonds that were around him, you kind of wonder why he didn't do that before Harry took off his mask, but hey, they always have to have him take off his mask in these movies. They had to have the... But either way, it served the purpose of having him, be revealed to his friend, which in turn caused the conflict within him, which inevitably he would decide upon in the next movie when he tries to kill Spider-Man after becoming the Hobgoblin. But, like I said, I'll get into that in the next review. Before I get into Mary Jane, I want to talk about... I could have just shown this on screen. Now, in terms of why he didn't break free of the bonds before Harry took off his mask, it does seem a little convoluted and contrived considering he does it like a second later, but you could just argue that perhaps he was unconscious or something like that. Either way, it served the goal of having Harry learn his identity, even though his Spidey sense should have kicked in and, made where that didn't happen. But either way. Now, what else? We also have the return of, man, I'm blanking on his name again, J.K. Simmons. We also have the return of J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, who does an amazing job in this movie. And actually, when I rewatched this movie, I rewatched the extended version of the film, I think for the first time. I think I've only really seen the theatrical version before. And whereas there are scenes that I feel like don't really fit in, you could see why they were cut in terms of pacing, in terms of placement of those scenes chronologically. There is an amazing scene with J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson dressed up as Spider-Man. See if they have a picture. That'd be great. Yeah, it's fine. And doing the web sling and stuff and everyone watching him, which definitely makes the overall extended version worth watching just for that. But either way, he does an amazing job. And like I said before, he did such a great job, they didn't even try to recast him with the MCU version of the story. Also, the actress who plays Aunt May does a great job in this movie as well, and, continues to be one of those supporting extras. And that's one of the things about these movies, about what Sam Raimi does with them, that there are so many extras, there are so many side characters involved in the story that actually bring an extra sense of charm to everything we see during it, in which these characters, like, for example, the landlord, like his daughter, like the doctor that Spider-Man talks to when he's trying to, figure out what to do with regard to his powers. Sam Raimi does a great thing, kind of like the Coens do, in terms of making the world a lot more interesting and quirky by having these extras, or these characters who you'd think would get zero actual development whatsoever, having memorable scenes so that you could actually remember everything that happens. Like, for example, characters in Fargo, or in a movie like No Country for Old Men. You see all these random characters, or seemingly random, who actually play a bigger role in the film, and thus in turn that's something that Sam Raimi does in his own movies as well. Now, in terms of maybe the biggest con of this movie for me and a lot of other fans, comes down once again to the man, I really am just it's like a desert in my mouth tonight. Now, in terms of the biggest con of this movie, for me and probably many other fans around the world, why am I saying that? One of my Black and Fist and my beautiful friends around the world, I will be your Spider-Man reviewer, Black and Fist. I'm about to show you my Black and Fist. Hiya! No, seriously, you don't want to fight Black and Fist. He knows boxing. He'd beat Floyd Mayweather. And the reason why I say that is because Quaman has assured everyone that he'd be able to beat Floyd Mayweather in a fight. So I assume that Black and Fist would scale higher in the YouTuber power scaling, and thus in turn, he would win. But instead I don't know, he's not uploading. Either way, the biggest con for me in this movie and many other fans comes down to Mary Jane and her portrayal in this movie. Because the fact that Mary Jane, I didn't like the resolution, or really lack of one in a sense, in the first movie with regard to her relation with Peter. And that is because the fact that in the comics and the cartoons, Mary Jane and Peter, we know they're going to get together. They already do almost immediately in the story. They both kind of just click with each other in a lot of adaptations. And thus, in turn, we didn't really need to see a whole drawn-out drama where Peter doesn't want to be Mary Jane's boyfriend because the fact that even though he clearly loves her and she clearly loves him and they want to be together, he is saying, no, I'm Spider-Man and I don't want to threaten her life by being her boyfriend. But then he still is her friend and is around her a good amount, going to visit her. So anyone who targets him would probably target Mary Jane, which is exactly what happens in this movie, because Peter, who has given up at being Spider-Man at this point, goes on basically a date with Mary Jane, and then Doc Ock throws a car through the window, which would have easily killed Peter and Mary Jane and everyone else in that bar if Peter wasn't Spider-Man and Doc Ock didn't know he was Spider-Man for some reason. So yeah, this movie definitely has scenes like that don't make any sense along the way too, that are worth noting, because I'm sure everyone's thinking about it every time they rewatch this movie. But either way, Mary Jane isn't just kind of having a flirtation with Peter. During the exact same movie, she also is seeing J. Jonah Jameson's son, the astronaut, who in the comics is directly linked to Venom and everything that we actually see in the Venom movies later on, which I've actually reviewed. The first one, I believe, either on here or Laughingstock Media, which I will link in the top right corner. But Mary Jane is clearly just in a relationship with this guy to make Peter jealous. And we know that because the fact that there's a whole extended scene where she's talking to one of her girlfriends when she's getting shoes or something, or getting dressed and ready for, the upcoming ball that she's at. And she's like going in depth about, do you actually love this guy? And she's like, yeah, sure. But it's obvious she's just doing it to get back at Peter. She eventually accepts this guy's, his proposal for marriage and literally goes all the way up to the marriage, getting in the dress, making the guy and the whole family and everyone get there. They probably had to fly out on planes. They probably had to put in a lot of expenses and everything to set up this wedding. And we already know that J.J. Jameson was putting together a recital because he tells them to cancel the caviar. And then in turn, what happens is she just runs away wearing the wedding dress that she might not have even paid for. And then in turn goes to see Peter, a different guy, and is like, no, we're going to be together, Peter. And so I could see why a lot of people hate Mary Jane in this movie and don't like the entire aspect with her, because the fact that, it's like the meme that people say from these movies now, Mary Jane is for the streets. But, the thing is that in the context of the movie, what they're trying to say is that Mary Jane and Peter are meant for each other. They're supposed to be together, and everything else is just getting in the way, and that, either way, that's what ends up happening at the end of the movie. But again, her portrayal is very different from the Mary Jane in the comics, aside from Kirsten Dunst looking more or less like her. So with that being said, again, that's probably the biggest con for me, is all the relationship drama with her and Peter and Harry a little bit, not only in the first movie, but then in the next movie. And it only gets, worse from here as far as I could. It only really gets worse from here, surprisingly, because of something that happens in the next movie, which I never like at all, and I'm definitely going to talk in depth about. As you guys can tell from everything I'm referencing in the next movie, it isn't getting a big positive review from me. Trying to think. I'm going to talk about the score for sure, but I doubt that they have a picture of Danny Elfman. Actually, wait a second. I don't know. In terms of direction, Sam Raimi once again does a great job bringing more of his iconic style to the film, making everything a lot more horror-based, especially in the scene with Doc Ock, where he is being operated on by the surgeons, and then he kills everyone in the room, and he has the whole no scene, So there's a lot more of the horror elements that Sam Raimi brings here, and you could definitely see way more of his Sam Raimi-isms on display versus in the first movie, where he was a lot more controlled. Let's see. Other than the score, I'm not sure if I need to mention anything else. Let's see. Get this trailer off my screen. I don't need to be copyright claimed for fair use. Other than that, we also have the great iconic score from Danny Elfman, which ends up being even better in this movie than it was in the first one. And with him going even further beyond in terms of the overall quality that he brought to everything. In terms of the next movie, well, I'll get into how I feel about his score there. Also, in terms of a score, this movie, Spider-Man 2, currently has a 7.5 on IMDb. Whereas the first movie has a 7.4, but honestly, I think that both movies probably could be rated higher. Like I said in the last one, 7.5 at least for the original Spider-Man. I would give this movie at least an 8 because to me, it still is a great movie that holds up in a lot of ways. And while it may have some negative aspects to it, especially with regard to what I mentioned prior, overall, still, I think it's a great movie and one of the best comic book movies of all time. And that's saying something because it has been almost 20 years since it originally released. Alright guys, so this has been my review of Spider-Man 2. Make sure to stay tuned for my review of Spider-Man 3 coming out soon on the channel. Make sure to subscribe, enable all notifications, and stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future. Video will probably be about 20-ish minutes when it's done. So Quaman's very happy. Try to build up the watch time and stuff on my second channel too because the fact that it's no longer monetized. Let's see what you guys are talking about right now in the chat. I didn't forget about you. Yeah, X2 came out first. What do you think about the Dragon Ball able to turn everyone into kids in the new movie? Because he made it clear that DB can't do that. Dragon Ball Daima is a series, not a movie. And not just that, but I already talked about that and why it doesn't necessarily add up that it could do that. Oh yeah, Defoe does a great job as the Green Goblin. I talked about that in my first review, which you can see on Laughingstock Cinema right now. There's a link to that show in the chat, and also, I mean in the description, and also you guys will be able to see this video when it comes out if you subscribe to that. Six in the morning. Wow. Well, thank you for showing up, Android 17. I hear sometimes people say that I sound like Android 17. New Goblin. Oh yeah, I forgot they called him that. I'll talk about that when I review the next one. Probably just get a review of the next one right now. Why not? I'm already in it. Already in the thick of things, guys. Let's do this. You know, we're grinding here. 3 videos in one night. Who knows? Let's see just how far we can go. Probably gonna stream a little bit longer, and so get any questions you want in there while I'm still streaming, and we'll see how everything goes. I know that I don't usually talk about like movies and stuff on Laughingstock Media, so I appreciate everyone who's watching right now. At the end of the day, like, Laughingstock Media was always supposed to be a single stream for me, or like a single channel where everything would be composed and compiled. I mean, like, if you look behind me, you could see that it's not just Dragon Ball. Like, there's tons of stuff that I'm passionate about that I love to talk about. But, that's why I ended up making 2 channels, because YouTube is very particular and specific about the type of content that you could really make on the channel unless you have a very specific type of algorithm. So as a result, I decided to separate into its own channel, but then I didn't really upload on it for a while because, I'd left YouTube for a while. So, as a result, it no longer reached the threshold of monetization. So, at the same time though, like, I am both, I wouldn't say I'm a big YouTuber, but I'm like a bigger YouTuber on one channel and a small YouTuber who's trying to get monetized on another one. So it really puts some things in perspective. I kind of like it from that angle. I on one hand, I do want to achieve that goal, but at the same time, it's like, I'm sure that there are smaller YouTubers who are trying, that follow me, that are trying to get monetized and everything on their channel, and they're struggling to hit that watch time number, 3,000 hours, and everything like that. So, hey, I'm in the thick of it down there too with you guys in Laughingstock Cinema. So if you guys want to go over there and subscribe and check out the channel and support it, there's a link in the description of this video and the stream that you're watching right now. And we're working toward that goal. And just trying to grow in general. And who knows, maybe a year or 2 from now, it'll be doing even better. Maybe it'll be my biggest channel. We'll see. That'd be cool. I guess it depends. Like, Spider-Man 1 is a 9, you say. And then 2 is a 10. 7 or 3 is a 7 or 6. I mean, I guess it depends on what we're talking about. If we're judging it based upon its time, the original Spider-Man is like an 8.5 probably. Over time, like, there have been so many other great comic book movies, like the sequel, like X-Men 2, just like Punisher 2003 or 2004. And then a lot of other movies of the same generation or afterward that, like, make it like, like, let's say a 7.5 back then would be like an 8.5 or something. You get the adjustment essentially. So in terms of a lot of things, I think the original Spider-Man movie is better than most comic book movies that have come out in the past several years. But in terms of like an overall movie, the first one, I don't know, maybe an 8, like 7.5 is kind of like, I see it being a little bit better than what's rated on IMDb at 10, but I don't think I would give it a 9. I think there were too many things working against it for that, which I talked about in the review. X-Men 2 was my favorite until The Dark Knight came out, though. Dark Knight was great. I love Dark Knight Rises when it came out. I still really like it. I don't think it's necessarily as good as The Dark Knight. In some ways it's better, but the Batman's like that as well. The Batman I watched recently, I still think it's pretty great, but there's some things that stand out a little bit more with regard to that. Like some of the writing is a little weak at times. It's a stool pigeon. Oh, rata, lata. It's la rata. Don't you speak Spanish or whatever, Portuguese? There's some kind of dumb moments in that movie for sure. But the atmosphere and the portrayals and performances for the most part were really good. Okay, let's put some of these things in their own folders first, and then I'll get into that next video. There have been days, you know, like there have been times where I fluctuate in how many videos I record in a day, but I've gotten to be able to, depending upon the type of video, record like basically like a dozen in a day. There are some channels I think they like record like 14 videos or 15 videos in a day. And some of them are really long too. So they're just like recording video back to back to back to back. It's crazy. I think a lot of those are more like tech review type of channels, but you know, I've gone up to about a dozen in the past. When I was doing my manga reviews, I was reviewing a lot of them at one time. Why can't I find this? Here we go. All right, so Daima reactions, and this is to go Spider-Man 2. Wait, do I already have a folder for Spider-Man? Here we go. Awesome. You know, it goes to show you that these movies are still really good and leave an impression on you when you can remember them, I don't know, 2 weeks later or whatever, whenever I did the last one. I'll have to check in a minute. Let's see, I did the last one. It was on stream. Yeah, close to 2 weeks ago. How you guys doing tonight? Let me know in the comments, in the live chat, and in the comments down below. Always appreciate you guys who watch these afterward. You know, I know you guys got long jobs overnight or busy times, but you know, I appreciate you guys being with me right now, and looking forward to talking about the next topic momentarily. I also really like that I can record and make videos live on air for you guys. I think it brings a different type of experience to the whole situation. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat, because I'm done getting those videos out. Yeah, John Jameson. You know, it's weird. I've read these comics. I've watched all these movies. I've seen all the cartoons, and I never remember John Jameson's name or a lot of these other characters. Like, I remember Otto Octavius and Spider-Man, which is Peter Parker, Ben Parker, Peter B. Parker, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, J. Jonah Jameson. But not John Jameson. Maybe I drink too much Jameson. Maybe that's the reason. Nah, maybe it's just my appreciation of Mary Jane Watson. My back. Spider-Man 2 is a 10 as a comic book movie, but as a movie it's a 9. I could see why you would say that. 7 as a comic book movie, as a movie is 6. Yeah, it depends on the standards. Peter Parkour and his arachnobatics. That's awesome. I like it. Wish I could heart comments in here. I like that. That's some top tier wordplay you got there, scumbag. You know, they used to not let voice actors call somebody a scumbag in the 90s, and because of its affiliation with trying to think of how I could say this without getting demonetized. You can look it up. MJ's ruthless, yeah. Dragon Ball fan since the 90s. I will say Spider-Man 2 is good. Who's excited for Marvel's Spider-Man 2? Oh, you mean the game? It looked pretty good from what I saw. Unfortunately, I haven't played any of them because I don't have a PlayStation 4 or whatever it is nowadays. PlayStation 15. The quest for more money. Even as a kid, I was like, wow, Sony really, really is greedy. They don't even give you a console with a memory card, so you got to buy them. They cost like $15 or whatever back then. It's like, oh, you want to play the PlayStation? Well, you need to buy an extra controller if you want to play with anyone else. You need to buy these memory cards so that you don't just keep playing the same game over and over from the same point every single time. You need to buy all the games. You got to buy extra extensions sometimes. Now here's PlayStation 2. Give us more money. Here's PlayStation 3. Give us more money. Here's PlayStation 4. Give us more money. Here's PlayStation 5. Give us more money. Here's PlayStation 666. Now put this on your wrist or on your forehead, and then give us more money. Lost Judgment. I don't think I've seen that. Sorry for my headphone users when I'm chest bumping my microphone here. Still trying to find the ideal optimized location for it, especially if I'm going to do ASMR streams in the future. I've definitely considered it. It's going to be like a DBZ ASMR stream or something. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video I'm going to be discussing Dragon Ball Z and the quietest moments in Dragon Ball. Number 1. The scene where everyone was sitting around and not doing anything. Number 2. When Gohan wasn't angry. Number 3. The time when Gohan was sleeping at his desk, not doing his homework. Because apparently he wanted to be a great scholar, but refused to do his homework without constant forcing. Almost like he didn't really want to do it after all. He was just a child when he said that. The same type of child who says that they want to become a firefighter or an astronaut, but then, ends up working in a cubicle. Kind of like the people who go to work at NASA. They want to be an astronaut, but instead they're working in as one of the 15 people in the big screen room, and they're like adjusting some aspect of whatever's going on their screens. You go, other person. Go on that lunar mission. I'll just watch. It's like that one guy, I forget what his name was, who was on the first lunar mission, and he had to stay inside the ship the whole time. They didn't even let him go out. Imagine going to the moon, if they actually went, and not even being able to get out and play golf or whatever. That must really suck. Hey, I went to the moon, but did you get out? Did you actually walk around on the moon? No? I would have done it. I don't give a shit what they're saying. What are you going to do? You're going to stop me? I'm on the moon. I'm getting out and I'm going to walk around. Oh no, you shouldn't be doing that. We told you not to do that. We're going to have to watch you do that because you're on the moon. We literally can't do anything right now. No, he stayed in the ship. Very smart. And then sometime during that, they turned off their cameras and they found some kind of transformer or whatever happens in the third movie. DBZ ASMR scream. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more. I have some more DBZ ASMR videos coming up actually. Maybe I'll record one on the stream. It'll be funny. No, I haven't seen Hell of a Boss. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's an anime. Yeah, I tried to write a Dragon Ball fan fiction. Actually, I did write one, but it just it didn't phase out. I was getting artists to help me, and it just wasn't flowing the way I wanted it to. Also, I just was tired of talking about Dragon Ball, and so I was tired of doing YouTube. I mean, I did a whole video about this, where I like left my channel for a while. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff I was doing back then, and I just didn't do it because I'm not really interested anymore, to be honest. I don't really want to make fan fiction. I have my own franchise I'm making, so I'd rather spend my creative energy doing that and doing YouTube than I would, making Dragon Ball fan fiction. But other people want to do that, that's cool. A lot of that is successful. I'd rather be successful with my own work. Most brutal death and sad death. Most brutal, probably one of like Vegeta killing the Cyberman, or, seeing that family killed in the Buu saga. There's definitely a lot of them in Dragon Ball, especially. There was a lot more violence. The saddest would probably either be Vegeta's death, the final atonement, the one on Namek, or Goku sacrificing himself to help Cell. Not to help Cell. I mean, he didn't intend to help Cell, but he did. What was your DB manga going to be about? It was actually going to be a video. It was... maybe I'll do... I mean, I'm not going to rule anything out, but it was called the Universe Reborn arc. And maybe I'll do a video in the future about what it was going to be. Get something out of it. There we go. Much better positioning. As always, my streams go longer than I intend, but I'm going to now record another video. Thank you guys so much for watching so far. I do this one more video. If you guys have any questions, make sure to send them in, and I will be doing this video live in person. Now, is this the same camera angle I just had? That's the question. Yeah, who cares? It's got all these posters and extra stuff on my other chair. Doesn't matter. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to my review of Spider-Man 3, the third video in my series reviewing the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, Mike? Come on. It's not like you haven't heard this guy's name a million times over the years. I'm drinking like a whole gallon of water on this stream. Marissa Tomei Maguire. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the third movie in the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, which is Spider-Man 3. Now, if you're interested, you could actually see my reviews of Spider-Man 2 and the original Spider-Man in the top right corner of this video, where I went in depth about what happened in those movies, how I feel about the pros and cons, and that much more. But in this video, I'm going to be getting into a movie that is often considered to be one of the worst comic book movies of all time. A huge letdown by many fans, and not just that, but additionally, something that has been memed to death since it came out. But overall, is Spider-Man 3 really that bad? Or perhaps, is it a movie that just has some negative aspects to it? Well, in this video, I'm going to discuss that. But before I begin, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all of my future videos. Additionally, make sure to leave a like, share your own thoughts down below in the comments, share this video out, and make sure to stay the entire time. That way you'll be able to get a full understanding of what I'm talking about, and you'll be able to help this channel to grow even more. With that being said, let's get into the video. What do you guys think of this movie? Let me know in the comments in the chat. I know it's definitely one that is, I don't even know if I'd say polarizing. I feel like that has to entail it being somewhat equivalent on both sides in terms of the positivity and negativity. Is my camera angle messed up? Come on. There we go. I like how my hair has slowly changed throughout the course of the stream. So in this no, I think I need a better picture. These freaking pictures on here in like 240p. Yeah, these videos are going to get better over time. That's the thing, you know. I'm tackling them differently than I do on Laughingstock Media in a lot of ways. I'm still doing some reviews and stuff and, you know, on camera, screen share and stuff. But over time, I'm definitely going to tweak them and try and differentiate them even more. It's going to be like that scene from Austin Powers when they de-thaw him after the stream. I hit the restroom. So in this movie, we have the return of Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And once again, they try and recreate the kind of down on his luck in a sense after a little bit. And with regard to his portrayal of Spider-Man, he's a lot more arrogant and cocky and kind of absorbed with himself and his fame in this movie. There are so many times where he is going about things where he's talking about how people love him, how they idolize him, how important he is compared to, you know, how he was acting in the previous movies. Things are going well for him at the start of this movie, but his arrogance and the things that, you know, are leading to him making decisions, ultimately impacting his life in a negative way. For instance, we have, let me show this on screen when I mention that. For instance, like in the other movies, we have some more romantic problems that happen with him and Mary Jane. Now, in the first two movies, the two of them were not together until the end of Spider-Man 2. where she, ran away on her wedding day and kind of left everyone screwed, which I talked about in that video you guys can see in the top right corner. But nonetheless, during this, things start out going relatively fine. However, it becomes clear that over the course of the story, Mary Jane, who is somebody who, kind of seeks validation at all times and is always trying to be seen as like a star and better than she was because of her abusive background and being kind of demoralized and stuff like that, she starts to fail. She's down in her luck. In some ways, it seems like she almost is becoming kind of jealous of Peter. And, the fact that he's being arrogant, that he's being incredibly overconfident, and he's talking about how, important he's seen doesn't really help matters. So when she's kind of going through these situations, she's looking at him and seeing how successful he's being, and it's bothering her in a sense. But that only becomes even worse when Peter actually, in his situation, decides to kiss Gwen Stacy in this movie, which is totally different from how everything happened in the comics, and basically do the same kiss with her that he did with Mary Jane, and thus in turn causing more relationship struggles between the two of them, and with them essentially breaking up at first. I don't remember if they really break up before the Harry situation, and thus in turn causing more relationship struggles between the two of them, as Mary Jane then in turn begins to once again essentially flirt with Harry Osborn and starts to tell him things that she isn't telling her boyfriend. In terms of Harry, we have his portrayal as the new Goblin. So in this movie, after finding out about Norman Osborn being the Green Goblin in the last movie, Harry Osborn proceeds to go through the same procedure, turning himself into the Green Goblin replacement of the new Goblin, who in the comics and cartoons was the Hobgoblin, and tries to get revenge upon Peter. He's going to avenge his father, much like we saw in Macbeth, where we even have Norman Osborn appearing in the mirror in the last movie and saying, "Avenge me!" which is what leads to Harry finding out everything with regard to his father. Now, with that being said, I don't really like the new Goblin's portrayal all that much. I mean, I don't really like the performance of Harry for the most part in this movie being portrayed by James Franco. I feel like he's really way too over the top in this movie, and there are so many memes that come about because of it. But in the comics and cartoons, we had an awesome design for the Hobgoblin. He had that cool like orange mask. He looked like somebody straight out of like a Halloween type of situation and theme. But in this version, he's just on some kind of like futuristic glider, and he has this weird mask he's wearing, and his outfit is not colorful at all. So I don't really like it very much at all, much like with the Green Goblin in the last movie, much like with the Green Goblin in the first movie, although in the case of that, at least he looked way better than what we see here with the new Goblin. And I really also don't like the direction they go in with Harry, where he hits his head after he is clotheslined by Peter with the webs, and then he gets amnesia. And then for half the movie, he completely forgets he was a Green Goblin, most of the things that happened, until he suddenly becomes a Green Goblin again, and then uses this as an example to make Mary Jane break up with Peter, which she never, for whatever reason, explains to Peter what was going on, even though she was right next to him, and, he probably would have been able to fight the Green Goblin and beat him because he literally just did that earlier in the movie. And then after this point, even though Harry is not really involved in anything for the most part, she still never tells Peter what happened. And it's weird. It's just kind of like never addressed in that sense, other than the following relationship struggles they continue to have. Because during this movie, we have the introduction of Venom. And Venom in this movie, honestly, I feel like is really poorly done for the most part because of the fact that Sam Raimi didn't even want to have Venom in the movie. It was basically forced on him by Sony, by Avi Arad, so that they would be able to have a really popular character in the movies. But Sam Raimi himself didn't really care about Venom, didn't want to have him in the movies, and so as a result, he kind of feels tacked on, and a lot of the stuff that happens with him, like Peter getting the black suit and then using it and being way more aggressive, especially with regard to another villain I talk about momentarily. Let's see if I can see that stupid dancing scene in here. Probably wouldn't be too bad for me to like check the pictures before I do these videos. And then, of course, we have really over-the-top scenes like him doing the dancing scene stuff. And honestly, some of it is a little bit funny because that's really what Sam Raimi was going for in this movie. Much like in the previous two movies, there is a lot of humor, but this one goes way too far, where sometimes it's just so bad and so cringy, it just feels like Batman and Robin or just something of that level. This movie will go from moments that are really good and really compelling and almost poignant in some ways, to in turn then going to scenes that are terrible and just like really bad, really over the top, and just really takes it out of the movie because of how cringy they are. And a lot of the humor in this movie goes way too far, does not work, especially scenes like Peter where he's dancing in the club and he's like, now dig on this. And you know, all the memes you've seen a million times, like you're probably seeing right now in this video. In a lot of ways, the movie has definitely lived on through the memes and through the different humorous aspects. But in many ways, you know, just because you can make memes from a movie doesn't necessarily make it a good movie in terms of quality, but rather at least it has a really strong impact in terms of the overall population. In terms of the movie, like I said before, there are really some good scenes, and the idea behind Venom in this movie isn't that bad, because overall he is kind of symbolizing what Peter is going through in terms of the negativity building up in his life, in terms of the fact that he is, you know, kind of now fighting against himself and the dark aspects and impulses within him, and also the fact that when he is Venom, he is also kind of trying to utilize his power in a vengeful way against the new villain introduced in this movie, who I think is vastly better than either Hobgoblin in this movie or than Venom. Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard, you know, she definitely was rocking in this movie, that's for sure. I really like seeing her on screen in this movie. Which is Sandman. You know, let me make sure I actually have this actor's name, because I definitely don't remember off the top of my head. Thomas Hayden Church. There we go. Now I remember. Which is Sandman, portrayed by Thomas Hayden Church, and I think he does a great job in this role. Sandman is a very sympathetic villain who is made sympathetic and relatable and understandable in terms of his motivations from the very start. We see him as a escaped convict who has a daughter who is struggling, and he's doing all these things in order to support her because he loves his daughter, of course. He has a kind of messed up relationship with his either ex-wife or, you know, the woman who had his child. And in turn, we then see him, and then when he's trying to escape, we see him falling into this vat, this experiment, which in turn turns him into the Sandman. And the effects and everything they did for this movie for the Sandman are honestly great because the fact that the CGI designers at the time made that entire Sandman sequence with him materializing essentially from the sand in that vat, that pit, and they made it in a way to where everything was as realistic as possible, and it took them a lot of time and effort, and it was basically a nightmare for them to create it. But then the finished result was great, where they had so many different variations of how the sand would interact and the particles, whether it be when it was wet or when it was dry, when he was materializing himself, when he was flying through the air, the different airflows. They did an awesome job. And even though, today maybe it doesn't hold up as much compared to some newer CGI, especially, the fact of the matter is it looked great for the time, and Sandman is a really good villain. However, with that being said, with regard to him being the one who killed Uncle Ben, I'm not sure I really like that retcon, to be honest. It does kind of feel like a contrived way of getting him into the movie as a villain that's compelling and has that connective tissue. We'd already seen the whole situation with Peter essentially seeking vengeance against the man who killed his uncle, and then finding out that he was the one he let go and everything like that. And while they do still kind of tie it in where Sandman, Flint Marko, does not want to kill Uncle Ben, he just is trying to get his car so that he can escape after their heist. What ends up happening is that he accidentally shoots Uncle Ben. So even then he does wrong, he does a bad thing, he's trying to do it for the right reasons, and even when he does kill Uncle Ben, it's an accident. So, one of the great scenes of this movie is when Peter forgives him at the end. And again, if the movie had just been Sandman as the villain, I think the movie would have been vastly better. Same thing with if they had the movie just focus on Harry as the villain, at least follow up that trend. You didn't need to introduce multiple new villains, all these other plot elements like Venom. You could have just had Flint Marko or Harry Osborn as villain. And that ties into the worst villain in this movie and the worst portrayal for me for sure, which would have to be, you guys almost thought I was going to miss it, don't worry. Do they even have a picture of Topher? Oh. Topher Grace, who plays Eddie Brock in this movie, and then in turn becomes Venom. Now, I kind of understand what they might have been going for here. Topher Grace almost does kind of feel like an inverted version of Tobey Maguire, in the sense to where, he is like more of a bad kind of reporter like Peter, who goes and, tries to win at any cost. He tries to kiss up to J.J. Jameson, who again returns and does a great job here as J.K. Simmons portraying him in this role. But with regard to Eddie Brock and his portrayal here with Topher Grace, I really just don't care for it at all. He's so different from how he is in the comics, and he just does not fit Venom whatsoever. Again, I might understand what Sam Raimi was going for, unless maybe he just tried to sabotage this role on purpose because he doesn't like Venom. But the fact of the matter is that his portrayal just does not work in this role. Tom Hardy in the next movie, Venom version, does a way better job. Even then, that's weird compared to the real Venom actor as Flash, Thompson. Was it Flash Thompson who did Venom originally? No. I think it was Eddie Brock, and Flash became Venom eventually, but he just doesn't work as well as Eddie Brock. And, I think that maybe another big reason why he was cast is because he was a big actor. And I think another reason why he was cast is because he was a popular actor at this time because of his success on That 70s Show. And so he wanted to go off and do different things. But at the same time, all he ended up doing was ruining That 70s Show in this movie. So it doesn't exactly end up working out for him. But I guess he tried, but it just didn't work out in the end. And really, most of the stuff with Venom didn't, and I feel like hurts the movie in a lot of ways. Let's see if I could see this. Find this. Now, in terms of the score for this movie, Danny Elfman composes once again. Honestly, I don't really like it as much as the other two movies. The new Spider-Man Peter Parker theme that he does, the dun 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 dun, I just don't like it at all. It just feels so corny. it just doesn't really work for me. It feels a little bit too corny and just doesn't really work as well as the other two iconic scores that he did for the first movie. There's still some great themes along the way, and there's some score that, and there's some of the score that emphasizes scenes in a good way, but then there's other ones that just take you, but then there are just other ones that just don't work that well. And I definitely think overall this is the weakest score that Danny Elfman did for this series. However, my least favorite scene in this movie has to be when Peter, as the Venom suit. However, my least favorite scene in this movie has to be when Peter Parker in the Venom suit goes to bring Bryce Dallas Howard's character of Gwen Stacy to the bar where Mary Jane is working, and then tries to make her jealous with Gwen Stacy, doing a whole ridiculous dance with her. And then in turn, he actually ends up beating up a lot of people in the bar and even hitting Mary Jane. Now, we know Mary Jane can definitely take a hit because she got hit by Spider-Man. He was pretty pissed off, so she clearly has superhuman durability here. But the fact of the matter is, in terms of the relationship drama, that really just went way too far, and it's one of the scenes I really just hate the most out of this movie, because the fact that you really didn't need to have a scene of Peter hitting Mary Jane, regardless of the fact of what ended up happening with him wearing the suit, and it really ends up and it ends up continuing that cycle of like abuse that she has in her life. So I really don't like that inclusion in this movie. And, you know, it essentially ends up with the two of them back together, or at least it would seem like they're going to get back together. And when I talk about No Way Home at some point in the future, I will reference that more, but I just really don't like it. And I know that the suit was heavily involved, but it's easily my least favorite scene in this entire series. So that is my review of Spider-Man. So that is my review of Spider-Man 3. In terms of where, actually, let me take a look at IMDb real quick because I want to see what the score is. Not the score. What is it? Yeah. I got pause this trailer again because they always do this. Come on. Pause. Thank you. Now, in terms of the score on IMDb, for example, has a 6.3. I can see maybe why it would have a 6.3 because the fact that, again, there are some really good emotional moments, like the scene at the end where Harry sacrifices himself. That's a great emotional moment. And then his death scene, like that's an emotional moment. And then there's some stuff that we see during the film. But again, I just don't even know that I would give it that high of a score, to be honest. Like, I almost feel like I'd give this movie maybe a 5 because there, like I said, there are some great moments and great scenes, but there are also some terrible ones. So overall, I don't think a 6 is too bad of a score. If you want to give it a 6, maybe I could do that. There are so many worse movies out there in the comic book genre, though. Like, so many people have said in the past that they think this movie is the worst Spider-Man movie. I mean, there have been so many people who've, like I've seen so many people say that they think this is one of the worst superhero movies, or that X-Men 3 is, but both of them are a lot better than a lot of the movies that come out today, to be honest. At least this movie didn't preach in-your-face politics or, a lot of the stuff that sinks movies nowadays. So I definitely don't think this is one of the worst superhero movies. Like I said, there are much worse ones, but in terms of the three, I would definitely say this is the weakest. It's really a shame that this series ended with this one, because Spider-Man 4 could have ended up being great. But all right, guys, this has been my review of Spider-Man 3. Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you're new here, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications so that way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future. 3 videos. Pulled off a hat trick tonight, guys. 3 videos in less than 3 hours. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with dynamite. Oh, shit. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. I believe I got a new super chat too, so thank you so much. Let me check that out. I forgot the part where that's my problem, yeah. So many great memes that come from this. Doctor Strange 2 is worse? Hell no. Doctor Strange 2 is way better than this movie. I actually like Doctor Strange 2. I've seen it 2 or 3 times. I still think it's good. Does it have issues? Absolutely. Did it not live up to a lot of people's expectations? 100%. But is it a bad movie that's worse than Spider-Man 3? No. I mean, I have to rewatch them back to back, but I definitely don't think so. RPT236, thank you so much. You said, do not ban him. I'm trying the hardest thing. Do you think the Saiyans always tested their powers at birth, or was that something implemented after they were forced into the cold Frieza forms, or force? This is really small for me to read for some reason. Thank you for that question. So in terms of that, I would have to say that that is something worth wondering. I do feel like eventually they implemented that because, you know, they weren't sensing people from birth. Like they probably just figured it out based upon performance in the battlefield and stuff, who was stronger than other people, you know, like you would traditionally do. It's not like the Spartans, for example, had power level readings. They just saw which children survived and became Spartans, you know, and that's kind of like the Saiyans are very much like the Spartans. So I don't think that, I'm not sure if they did it with the Frieza Force. In Dragon Ball Super Broly, they show that Frieza is the one who brings Scouters. But then they already knew how powerful, like, Vegeta was and stuff like that as babies, right? So I don't know if Frieza really brought the Scouters. Like, there are different versions where the Tuffles invented the Scouters, and, you know, like, there's all these different origins for the Scouters and measuring power levels. But even Babidi had like a machine that read the Achilles, right? So for all we know, that was like a unit they were using for millions of years. So power levels could have been known by a lot of different species even before Frieza showed up. Wholly possible. Yeah, I haven't seen the live action One Piece yet. I've seen that whole part of the anime, so I probably will watch it, though, just to compare it. Roger Kingsley was the Hobgoblin. I'm pretty sure Harry Osborn was the Hobgoblin in at least one of the versions. I think even Norman Osborn was the Hobgoblin at one point. Didn't they do like a convoluted storyline where the Hobgoblin was actually the Green Goblin and he was Norman Osborn? I feel like I remember something like that happening. Probably going to go up to the 3-hour mark here. Plan to do maybe one, maybe do 2 hours, but well, this is Laughingstock Media. We always go even further beyond. Danny wasn't on Spider-Man 3. Wait, he wasn't? Shit. Viva la raza! Thank you so much, Phantom. I really appreciate your super chat. Danny Elfman wasn't on 3. No wonder I don't like the score. Fuck. I'm gonna have to edit. I'm gonna have to add that extra part in then. Let me go back to IMDb real quick. Who the hell did the score? See, that's such an important aspect that a lot of people overlook with these movies. Like, music can really change the tone and feeling of a film. Like, if you don't bring the same director in, the same cinematographer, same actors. Christopher Young. The hell is Christopher Young? He's probably not so young anymore since it's been about 20 years since this movie came out. I think maybe like 15, actually. 16. I think it was 2007. I don't know why Elfman wasn't on this movie. Maybe he was working on something else. It says Danny Elfman is credited as the composer for themes in the music department. Maybe it's just because they used other ones? A lot of people disliked what, my review or the movie itself? I might just add, I'm probably going to record a little section. I want to make sure. I want to make 100% sure I'm right here. Because of difficulties with Sam Raimi. He said that he had a miserable experience working with Raimi on Spider-Man 2 and could not comfortably adapt his music. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that, Xavier. You definitely helped me out there. I didn't even realize he wasn't on it. No wonder I didn't like the music. No wonder it came off so differently. I'm surprised I don't remember that from any of the documentaries or anything. Behind the scenes. Either way, I'll just I'll show like his picture or something. Now I'm going to do a post edit on Laughingstock Media. How's it going? Give me rent. Oh, is that another word for rent? I do love all the, I'll be honest, I do like the memes. They are kind of funny. They're very overdone, especially now, but I do like the memes. What is his name again? Christopher Young. Okay, here we go. Now, in terms of the themes and the music for this movie, it definitely, for me, would have to be the weakest of the three. And that's because of the fact that Danny Elfman did not return for this movie because he had frustrations and a miserable experience working with Sam Raimi on the previous movie. And thus, as a result, they had Christopher Young come in and do the... And as a result, they had Christopher Young come in and assume his duties. And I just don't think that he did anywhere near as good of a job. With the various themes that Elfman composed, they ended up being really great and iconic. But in this movie, the themes, like especially the Spider-Man, Peter Parker kind of main theme they have in the song, kind of main theme they have in the movie, the dun 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 dun, I just feel like it's so over the top. I just feel like it's so corny in a sense. It really just does not really emphasize or improve upon the scenes that's in, and more like it actually goes against the film and the overall quality of it. And additionally, not just that, but and with that being said, there are some good themes every now and then, like the ending theme with Harry is really well done, I feel like. like the ending theme with Harry is really good, but a lot of the other themes in the movie I just don't feel like hit anywhere near as good as 1 or 2, and this would definitely be the weakest soundtrack of the 3 movies by far for me. Okay. Awesome. Give me a rent. Okay. Almost at the 3-hour mark, guys. Getting close to the end. It's the final countdown. Sam wanted to do a Dark Mirror with Venom and Eddie being a junior and a douchebag with frosted tips. Yeah, like I was saying before, there was the kind of dark parallel aspect in that sense. You know, the retcon was pretty dumb. Gwen turned into a dumb blonde, but at least she was still hot. Yeah, Bryce really brought it in that movie, that's for sure. Very attractive woman. Yeah, I still really like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Probably other than No Way Home, that's like my favorite movie of that phase. I mean, what else came in that phase? Like Shang-Chi, The Eternals. I know that The Marvels is coming out. I'm totally going to spend money to see that. Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens. Like Eddie was mentioned early on. I mean, there are comic book movies where they do that. I mean, remember how they totally changed the creator of the Sentinels in the X-Men movies from, I don't think it was Bill Duke originally, but they went from like one drastic character to another by making him like being portrayed by Peter Dinklage. I think that Peter Dinklage did a fine job as Trask, but you know, it was kind of a huge change. Kind of like, I mean, we had Billy D. Williams playing Two-Face or Harvey Dent in the Tim Burton movies. I don't remember if he comes back as Harvey Dent or like if Harvey Dent returns at all in the Schumacher movies, but then of course he's played by Aaron Eckhart in The Dark Knight, which again, very different from from that before. No, I'm not gonna play that right now. But all right, guys, we did several videos here today. I'm going to say several because it sounds even more impressive. No, we did 3 videos here today. We did this live stream, and you could expect to see maybe 2 of those videos coming up tomorrow. I am going to see Battle of Gods tomorrow in theaters. Today, technically, where I live. And then I'm going to do a review for that. Kind of like what I did with the Dragon Ball Superhero review when it came on Blu-ray. I also did one on live stream with Josh originally. Josh from Dragon Ball Nation. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Dragon Ball Nation. And yeah, I'm going to do a re-review. That might come out on Thursday. And then, well, you guys will find out for the weekend. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for showing up, for watching my live stream. Thank you all so much for your super chats. Let me thank everybody one more time before I wrap it up. Xavier DeGod, Michael West, RPT, and Phantom. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all of your generous support. And no, I do not play Dokkan. Josh plays a lot of that and Legends and especially Red Dead Redemption. He never stops telling me about that. But with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. And make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.